Hey,
What's up? How you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm doing quite delightful today. So I know this hour is going to go by super fast, and I know people got a lot of questions because they've been coming to my DM. So we're going to get started. Sound good?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. So I am Connie S. Falls, the S is for Systems. I own a business development firm here in Atlanta, Georgia called Entrepreneur Life Global. We help creative entrepreneurs create systems for their businesses. Through all these years of working with entrepreneurs over the last 13 years, I've realized that everybody doesn't have a dope network like I am very blessed to be able to have. So I created this podcast called Business and BS because all day long I hear about the dope business stuff, and I also hear about the BS that comes along with this. Sometimes the BS stands for business strategies. Sometimes it stands for the regular BS that comes along with being an entrepreneur. Today, we have an awesome guest that's coming in, and I'm so happy because when I looked at the calendar, I was like, man, I wish he was coming on right after he hit number 10 on the slot. And I was like, oh, look at God, right on time. So, Rashad, if you would please introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, Rashad Bilal from Earn Your Leisure. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we're going to hop right on in. And I like to start in the beginning because most people, as you grow, when you get into this entrepreneur journey, you're like, oh, yeah, back when the day when I was growing up, that's normally where our story starts. So let's start at how it began. Tell me about your youth. Tell me about growing up.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was always interested in business. I always wanted to be in business. I just wasn't sure like what area of business I wanted to go into. I played sports pretty much my whole life. So it was either like make it to the NBA or become a CEO of a company. That was like my ambition. So, growing up, like I said, I just always was fascinated with stocks and investing and all of that stuff, like since I was a little kid. So that was something that I always kind of just looked at myself as being an entrepreneur one day. So now, fast forward to when I graduated from college, I was able to, start working as a financial advisor, and I've been doing that for like the last 10 years. And then we started Earn Your Leisure, which is a media company, educational company. We have a podcast, amongst other things. And we started that around like 18 months ago. And that takes up most of my time now. So yeah, just, it's kind of just always been in me, but it's just a kind of a step-by-step process into where we are now.
Awesome. So, I mean, you have an interesting journey. Like, it doesn't just start off with stocks. I mean, you were playing in Hawaii for a while. How did you even end up there?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I was young, growing up, I had hoop dreams like a lot of kids. So I played basketball my whole life. And I was going to a lot of different schools. So I went to school in Maryland for my first 2 years, University of Maryland at Baltimore County, UMBC. And I transferred after my sophomore year. And the coach that recruited me to Maryland, he used to coach in Hawaii. So he made a few phone calls, and I spoke to the coach out there in Hawaii. They offered me a scholarship to come out there. So I'm like, Hawaii, why not? It's like,
why not?
Yeah. So I finished up in Hawaii. I graduated from University of Hawaii. I was there for my junior and senior year in college. So yeah, Hawaii is definitely a dope place. Has a close heart spot in my heart, and I got a lot of love and a lot of friends out there in Hawaii. So shout out to everybody in Hawaii for sure.
Dope. So from that transition and saying, okay, good, I'm a dope basketball player, I'm out here in these streets, I'm getting to travel a little bit. What does that transition look like between where you were and where you are today?
I mean, for me, it was just, after college, it's like you got to kind of figure out what to do. So I was still trying to tour, and I tried my hand overseas to play basketball overseas. I was in Germany, but I didn't really work out. So I came back home in New York, and I knew I had to, my basketball career was over pretty much. So I had to figure something out. So started working at a financial firm. And like I said, I started getting my Series 6, Series 63, life and health and all that stuff to become a financial advisor. And that was like, probably like right after I got out of college. And that was it. So for me, where we are now, as far as Earn Your Leisure, so Troy, he's one of my best friends. That's my partner, Earn Your Leisure. So he's a teacher. He was teaching in the Bronx, and he had asked me like years ago to come teach a financial literacy class to his students. And at the time, I didn't really want to do it because I hate school. I always hated school, and I'm like, I don't want to go back to school. So, but I actually enjoyed it. I had an enjoyable experience, and then from there, that led to he had a summer program that he ran every summer, And I came and I started a financial literacy class for kids every single summer for like the last 7 years. And so that was like the first stages of us, working together on financial literacy and actually teaching it to kids. So that's really where Earn Your Leisure really started, in the classroom with kids. Before we had a podcast, we was teaching financial literacy to kids. And then from there, it grew to me developing a social media platform and, becoming, known on social media. And then people kept asking for like a podcast. So I asked him if he wanted to do a podcast with me. And he said, yeah. So that kind of morphed into the podcast. And then, like I said, now the podcast has turned into a variety of other things. But yeah, that's kind of like the step-by-step process.
Like that journey is so interesting. And I want to spend a little bit of time as far as transitioning, because we get a lot of kids that have the basketball dreams, and if they don't hit those, it's like crushing, and they don't have a backup plan. How did your backup, like, that's to go from playing in Germany and playing overseas to transitioning into financial literacy? What's your advice when it comes to kids that don't know how to transition, or think I don't have a plan B, I'm gonna go to the league or nothing? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of, growing up, everybody has hoop dreams. So, it's one of the situations where you can't put all your eggs in one basket, especially something like that where, it's a lot that goes into making it to be a professional basketball player. Everybody knows the odds is like 1 in a million, but even if you're good enough, it's a lot of politics sometimes. You might, so I would say to always, I mean, even if you make it to the league, you still want to be able to be well-versed and do other things. I think a lot of guys now in the league are doing that. Like you see Kevin Durant with a media company, you see LeBron doing all his stuff. So even if you make it to the league, you still, you're still a person. You're not just going to play basketball all day, every day. So you always got to, I don't even want to say a backup plan, but you always got to have multiple different plans. So, if one plan doesn't go the way that you want it to go, you have another option. It's not like just saying like, this is the only thing that I do all day, every day. So I think people are starting to see that now, like with the internet, and like entrepreneurs becoming more cool than it was before. But same thing with music. Like, people, it's okay to try to be a rapper, but, it's the odds is slim odds to be a really, really successful rapper. So you want to have multiple different things going for you. You don't want to be, 50 years old still trying to record your demo tape and, get people to listen to your mixtape. So,
you need to play my mixtape. It's lit, Rashad.
Yeah, for sure. So, you always got to have multiple different things on your plate, because you never know. You never know what could work and what not could work.
Absolutely. And I think that journey says a lot, because many of these kids, when they watch us, and they either see, oh, we play basketball, or they say, oh, they're successful in this space, and they think that it just took off that way. This has been a journey. So let's talk about the years in between. Real quick, let's do some housekeeping. If you guys have questions, make sure you put them into the question box that's at the bottom. Otherwise, the comments go by quickly, and we won't be able to get to your question. So let's talk about the amount of time that comes in between when you first started the financial literacy space until today, because people look at you now, they're like, oh my God, if they just saw you and earn Your Leisure, they're like, oh, he's out here, you know what I'm saying? He's traveling the world, he's doing great. But there was a journey. How long was that space in between where, you finished here and now where you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, it's like, I remember I got a friend, Valencia, I reference her a lot because she was like the first person that really inspired me to do social media. And she was doing social media a long time ago, like in 2014, 2015. So, the crazy thing is like, in 2012, I was like 2013, 2012, I wanted to write a book, and I was telling people I want to be like a financial guy on social media. Like, I think I could become like popular on social media. And I said that in 2013, 2012. And, we always have like self-doubt and stuff. So I never like followed through with it, but I just always said that. I was telling people that, like, I think I could be a popular financial guy on social media. And finally, like, after, like, I saw like one of her videos went viral with Val, and that was probably like 2015. And I'm like, all right, now this is something that I really want to do. Like, I think I can do it, like, really. So me and Mike, shout out to my man Mike, we was in LA, and we drew up a game plan of for me, before Earn Your Leisure, for me to become popular on social media, and for me to build a social media presence. So that was like 4 years ago, where we drew up a whole marketing campaign and everything. And for like 2 years, we was just building my personal page, and that was like all day, like 12 hours a day on social media, chopping up clips, and it was like a lot of work. And then that, like I said, led to Earn Your Leisure, which started 18 months ago. So people look at Earn Your Leisure, and it's like they see that we just started a year ago, and we one of the top podcasts in the world. And it's like it looks like an overnight success, but really, Earn Your Leisure really started 4 years ago with me and Mike, when we was doing it from my own personal brand before we had the company brand. So I always tell people, it's like you gotta be willing to work a part-time job for free for like a couple of years, sometimes a full-time job. That's really, people don't really see what goes on behind the scene. They just see like when they become successful. But it's like in order to become successful, it's like years that you work, and you don't get paid. Like we didn't get paid for that. Like everything we was doing, it was no like paycheck or anything like that. So it's like a lot of times people they don't look at it like that. They look at it like, if I'm not gonna get compensated for something right now, then what's the point? What's the point of doing it? But yeah, we put in work for over 2 years before we even had an idea of how we can actually start making money.
And what's funny is I see Alex just commented. I literally was about to use him as an example because people see Alex. Right. People see Alex now and they're like, oh my God, he has this cool truck and stuff and everything is dope. Like he's gone from sleeping on the couch and being broke to this 10 stream. So it's a journey. And I think another thing that's super important that you said was that you made a plan. So 4 years ago, you wrote this out. What was on that piece of paper to say, here's what our plan looks like?
Now we had a whole thing. Like I said, me and Mike, we was in LA, and me, Mike, and Troy, but Troy left early. So like the last 2 days of our trip in LA, we was in a hotel room, and we just was mapping it out. Like, all right, like where you at now? At the time, I had like 500 followers on Instagram.
So wait. I'm sorry. How many followers did you have?
500.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, we have 500 followers on Instagram, and so you're like, all right. So, and shout out to Mike too, because he played a big part in this, and that's another thing too. You got people that's one. So Mike, he's a real talented dude. So he's a photographer. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna start taking photo. We did like photo shoots. He's like, I'm gonna do it, but it looked like professional photo shoots. Like we're gonna do photo shoots. We're gonna have to start doing content. We're gonna do different things. So we had like a whole plan. Like we put a whole social media plan together, and like I said, we mapped it out in LA, and we just executed it. We executed it every day for like two years, no days off, every single day for 2 years. And even that, like growing a social media following takes time. It's like, it's not, that's work too. Like people think like you go on social media, you just post selfies, but even to post a good selfie, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? It takes skill for that. So it's like everything that we did was real, like plan. Even with the podcast, like I drew up a plan for the podcast, I still have it now. And before we started the podcast, and I was like, all right, this is what we need. We need to get mics. We need to get cameras. We need to, and they have a name and all of that stuff. So everything that we did, we always had a plan going into it. We never just winged it. And then some stuff worked, some stuff didn't work. But we just, we just put our foot forward and just made it happen. But I like to tell people that because it's like I said, if I would have started this when I wanted to in 2015, we'd probably be out of this world right now. But like I said, it took me, I always knew I could do it. I wanted to do it. I had the idea, but just for whatever reason, I just never started. It took me 4 years to start. So yeah.
Why do you think it took you that long to actually start? Because so I am, before you even, like, I don't want you to feel, I'm not trying to pressure you for anything, but I know that, I have a whole wall full of stuff that's up here. And there's times where I'm like, not even that I think it's going to fail, but I think it's going to be great. And I'm like, man, am I going to have to pull more time out of nowhere to be able to accomplish all the stuff that's on this wall? So that's one of the things that stopped me. So what do you think it was that stopped you from actually pulling the trigger on it?
I really don't know. I mean, I think, it's just a variety of different things. Like I said, I mean, you think everybody, you just get busy. You think it might not work, or you think like public perception, like, you get nervous about feedback and people's going, what I'm saying, not really buy into it, or people look at you crazy. Like, it's a variety of different things that kind of just stopped me personally from starting. I think stopped most people. It's just like, you don't really think that it's even possible. Like I said, the only reason why I knew it was possible because I know Val personally and I saw her. And this is a person that I know personally. So when she was blowing up and like Rihanna started following her she was like all these celebrities, like these celebrities was like going crazy over her. But I know her personally. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know her personally. So I'm like, nah, she, no disrespect to her, but I look at it like if she could do it, I know I could do it because I know her. So that's something too. It's like a lot of times people look at like, if you know somebody personally and they become successful or whatever, they get discouraged because they're like, what's the odds of one person blowing up? The odds of two people blowing up in the same little area is impossible. But like I said, I mean, we from the same like town, like, and she did her thing before us. So for us to, you know, be able to do it now after her, it just goes to show you like the odds of that happening is probably 1%, like 1 out of 1 million. Like, you know what I mean? But she really was the one that really convinced me I can do it. Cause like I said, I this is somebody that I know personally, and to see her become like famous, I'm like, nah, I know I could do it. Like, I know I could do it.
So speaking of that, me and my friends, we have a term we use often. It's called friendship portfolio. So when I look at the people that are directly around me and the impact that I have, you know, the whole your network is your net worth kind of thing. We look at it as a friendship portfolio. So when you look at your friendship portfolio, the people that are immediately around you consistently, who do you see and what type of impact do you have on them and they have on you?
I mean, yeah, all my friends are my business partners now. That's the good thing with Earn Your Leisure is that we all friends. We all so it's me and Troy on the podcast, but we also got Mike. Like I said, he's the person that actually started the whole situation with me and him. He's the third partner. We got Jamal. He's one of our friends that he does a lot of different things, plus marketing, all kinds of stuff. We got Bam, who's Mike's brother. So it's like a bunch of us, and all of the, like, not all my friends, but the majority of the friends that I talk to every day are all my business partners, or all people that. So we just, everybody that I'm friends with, I'm in business with.
So that says a lot, and that goes to the network is your net worth, but also about the day ones, because some of us, some folks that are listening, they struggle with being able to differentiate between the people that should be the day ones that may not be able to influence you positively, or you don't have a positive influence on their life, and the place that you're trying to go. So were there any people that you had, and I'm not saying to call them out, but were there other people that you had to leave behind on this journey, and what did that look like?
Nah, I don't necessarily say leave behind. It's just everybody's just moves in different places in life. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, everybody obviously is not going to be part of a business, and that's fine. We still have a friendship. It's not like, you know, it's no hard feelings, anything like that. But it's just like the people that wanted to gravitate towards it, we just, you know, found opportunities for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whoever really wanted to be a part of it became a part of it, because it's like, you know, and it's still people that's gonna become a part of it later on. Like, you know, it's an ongoing thing. So I look at like the more opportunities, the more businesses that we can create. Not only is going to, you know, help us, but we can, you know, empower more people and more of our friends, because we got a lot of people that we grew up with, a lot of friends, a lot of family members. So, you know, the more businesses and the more opportunities, we can just keep bringing more people in. So hopefully this time next year, it'll be like 20 of us that we all know personally, we all grew up with, and we have different opportunities and different avenues for different people.
I love it. So we're going to pivot a little bit, because I think it's important to know that you really have a financial background. Like, you're not just the Earn Your Leisure podcast guy. Like, I had Tanya on here from Real Housewives the other day. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about the housewife stuff. I'm going to talk to you about the fact that you run a tech company. That's the part we're going to talk about. So I want to make sure that we're covering that part too, because I know you have a lot of great information. I had you on right before, I think in that December, and you guys started the podcast in like January or sometime after that, to talk to my group about financial literacy and creating wealth. What are some tips that you can give entrepreneurs or people that are looking to become an entrepreneur about their first steps of transitioning from full-time 9 to 5 into entrepreneurship?
Dave, you got to have I just told somebody that on the phone actually a little while ago, like, you know, that's something that's extremely underrated, but especially as an entrepreneur, it's ups and downs in this game. So, you know, it's not like working a regular job. Like, you might have a good month, and then you might not get paid for 3 months. So the average person doesn't really have the stomach for that, because it's difficult. Like, if you're used to getting paid every single week or every other week, and now you got to kind of budget your money for 3 months, it's difficult. So the more money you have saved up, the better. The more access you have to credit, the better. The more, that's why you got to keep your credit scores high, keep your debt low. That's good for anybody, but especially entrepreneurs. Like I said, it's something that's really like the stuff that nobody really talks about. Like people don't really, that's not easy. You got a family and you telling your wife that, I'm not getting paid for the next 3 weeks. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. So, but that's real. Like that happens sometimes in business. Like, you might work on a deal and then in the very last minute, the deal falls through, or coronavirus happens and shuts down your barbershop for 3 months. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like these are all things that entrepreneurs have to deal with. So everybody should have savings, but definitely for being an entrepreneur, you need to have savings. Like that's absolutely necessary, a requirement.
So what, because you gave us, I still have my notes over there from over a year ago that I got from you as far as how much we should have tucked away. What's a good cushion in reality? Oh my God, I have a 9 to 5. I'm really great at doing hair. I'm opening this salon. How much money should I save from and of course, we're not doing financial advice, everybody, but this is just a roundabout number that you think we should have put away.
I mean, they say like, 3 months is the bare minimum. 3 months of living expenses, bare minimum. 6 months is what you should really aim for. 6 months of living expenses is what you should aim for. And then 12 months if you really want to be on the real safe side. So, but at least 3 to 6 months. That's how I look at it.
And I wrote down 12 months because that, I mean, I feel like most people don't realize how much money you have to save. Like you never really know how much you're making and how much is getting taken out of your check. Like people don't think about taxes that are coming out. They don't think about insurance and health insurance and stuff. And then when it's just you as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh snap, I didn't save nearly enough money for any of this.
Yeah. I wanted to answer this question. Somebody says, they say don't mix family and friends with business. So how did you navigate that? Were you partners before? And it's crazy that I think that the only people that they tell that to is Black people, honestly. Because if you look at all of I saw a clip on Instagram the other day, and it was like this guy, he was naming all of these businesses, like Walmart is a family name, like all of these different businesses. It was like 50 different businesses that was all family names. That means it's a family business, right? And it's like, that's really, if you're talking about generating wealth, that's really how you're going to become wealthy. It's like you can only go so far by yourself, but when you empower your family, now it's like, hey, you're not going to have the same pitfalls, because it's like if you're the one successful person and everybody else is broke around you, you're going to fall, because now you got to take care of those people. But if you don't have to take care of those people, you empower them. Now everybody is doing their thing, and now they can empower their circle, and now it's like a domino effect. And then like even like with your friends, your community is the same thing, as far as like we talk about group economics a lot, but what does that mean? Group economics is when you work with a group. So why would you not work with a group that you know personally? Like, I always look to meet new people, but if I know these people, I speak to them every day. We knew each other for 20 years. Why would I just work with outside people that I don't know from anywhere? Like, I'd rather work with these people that I actually know personally. So of course, there's always issues that could arise, as far as you got to make it known that, friendships is one thing, business is another thing. But there's issues with anything. Like if you hire an employee, there's going to be an issue. There's no guarantee that if you work with somebody on the outside, there's not going to be an issue. That's just business. Business is always issues. So for me, I look at it like any business that I do is a family business, really. Like I don't do business. Like I do business with strangers sometimes, but I mean, those people even become my friends. Like we meet people and they become our friends. But I don't agree with the don't mix business with family, because it's like if you can't mix business with family, who can you mix business with? Strangers? What's the point? And it's like even when you become successful, it's like that's not even enjoyable if you're just the only person successful by yourself and you don't have any friends or family to enjoy it with or make decisions with. It's like now you're just on an island somewhere, and it's like you can have money, but what kind of quality of life do you have?
And I agree with that 1,000%. When you look around again, the friendship portfolio that we have, I don't want to be the only one that could afford to be on the boat. I don't want to be the only person that could afford, like, hey, I want to go to Bali. And they're like, we ain't got it. Because I've never, but again, I've never put you in position to even be able to make the type of money that we're able to make. I have a friend of mine who she doesn't even realize how much money her business is making, but every month I'm just putting money to account away for her. And I do that on purpose because she may not have an entrepreneurship heart, but we can still grow and create generational wealth because we have kids, even despite her having a 9 to 5. So a little bit of housekeeping. One, make sure that you are following Rashad Bilal. His information, his name is spelled below. Make sure you're following Connie S. Falls. The S is for systems, so that way you guys can see the replay. And then if you have any questions, make sure that you're putting it into the question box, because at the end we'll go to all the questions and I'll be able to put it across the screen so that way in the replay people can see the question that we're talking about. So back on the finance part, and we'll get back to the family part later. But back on the business side. So now we've got this 12 months worth of income that's tucked away. We're making sure that we've saved all this time. Now we're stepping out into this entrepreneur space. What are some pieces of, because I know you get a lot of business entrepreneurs that have come to you over these years for financial advice. What are some of the mistakes that you see small businesses making when it comes to their finances?
They're not running it like a business. You know, a lot of times it's like you run a business. You have to run the business like a business, meaning that you have to, you know, how much money's coming in, how much money's coming out. You got to budget correctly. You got to, you know, keep inventory. You got to keep records. You got to keep books, all of that stuff. And it's like a lot of times people are running businesses like side hustles, where it's like a side hustle. You just go outside on the street, you just sell water. You don't care how much water you sell, whatever you sell. It's just like, you know what I mean? So not to knock anybody selling water, but I'm just saying that's just, you know, a mentality. You got to have a system in place. So I think the biggest mistake that I see businesses make is that they don't really understand the idea of being in business. They just like what they do. They're passionate. Like, they might be a good barber. Like, barbershop's a perfect example. So barbershops can be extremely unprofessional. Like, you can go to a barber and he can have you waiting for 3 hours. They can come late. They can have all kinds of just nonsense going on. But now barbershops are becoming more professional, where it's like you got to book an appointment. If you come late, they're going to charge you a fee for not coming late. Like, you can't have a 1 o'clock appointment and come at 1:30 and just expect it to, because now you mess up everything, right? And it's like, you got to put a deposit down. I've seen some barbers with that. Like, you got to put a deposit down to hold the slot. So I like that. And I use that because that's something that everybody can relate to, a barbershop. And so I see it on both ends. I see it on some people still run a barbershop, like, just come and I'll just get you in when I can get you in, and book 3 people at the same time and just figure it out. Or people have online calendars now, and, you know, you can do it on a professional level. So yeah, I think that, you know, having systems in place and running it like an actual business is something that is taken for granted in a lot of small businesses. A lot of small businesses are still running it like just, you know, just a hustle.
I absolutely agree. And I think, you know, even though this coronavirus thing has been really bad, it's been great for my business because I create systems. So for those companies that are like, oh my God, I don't know how to pivot, I don't know how to make these changes, it's because they never had systems in place. At what point in this journey that you've been on, even in your financial world and through Earn Your Leisure, at what point did you say, yo, I need to make sure we have systems? Or did you guys start off, because I know you have the plan written out, at what point did you say systems is important?
Now, we always have systems. I mean, we always improve it. I'm not going to say like we like, you know, the most perfectly run organization in the world. There's always room for improvement, but we always have systems in place. And we always constantly try to keep systems. And I learned that early on. That's something I learned from sports. Like, I learned that from playing sports, like, you know, as far as like the discipline of being on a team, and you got to watch game film, and like, you got to go to practice every day. And that's something that, you know, a lot of things that you learn in sports still carry over to me in business. So the discipline in the organization and all of that, it's not like just roll the ball out and just go play. You're playing at a high level, and it's like, people don't understand how much work actually goes into it, and it's very meticulous. And it's like I said, you got to have walkthrough, you got to have stretch, you got to watch game film, you got to go. It's like a whole thing. So the same discipline that I took from that, we still run with the Earn Your Leisure. So it's very disciplined, it's very structured as far as how we run the operation, because, you know, we just don't want to just go out there and just wing it and just, you know, look crazy.
You know, my thing is, don't let the day do what the day want to do. and don't be out here running your business willy-nilly, because that discipline is where it really comes into play. I unfortunately didn't grow up playing sports, so I didn't really have that discipline in me in anything in life other than business. Why do you think most people don't have that type of wherewithal and that discipline that goes into really making their business successful?
Because it's not, you got to realize, like, people are trained to be told what to do. So it's like, you go to school and your day is pretty structured for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go to school from being a little kid to all the way up to college. And it's like, everything is structured. All you got to do is go to class, and you got to do your work. Then you got study hall. Then you got lunch. Everything is done. Then it's like, even as a 9 to 5, like, really school is like preparation for a 9 to 5 job. Because if you go to work, you punch in, you work until 12 o'clock, you eat lunch for an hour, then you get out. So people are used to structure. And I realized that people actually need structure. That's why religion institutions are so big. That's why, sororities, fraternities, people gravitate towards that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because people need to be part of a community. They need to have structure. The problem is that when you break outside of that, when you're an entrepreneur, there's no structure at all, and you got to create it for yourself. So people aren't used to creating structure for themselves because other people have created structure for them for so long. So now it's like little things like, all right, you got to get up at this time. You got to do this. Like, when you're at home and you can just watch television all day, you don't have anybody telling you you have to get this done. It's different when you at a cubicle and you got to meet deadlines. So I think that that's real big, as far as most people just aren't used to having the freedom and being able to make those decisions, because they've never really had that in their life. They've always kind of been told what to do and structured in that manner. So when they just start doing it for their own, it becomes very scary. It could become scary too, because it's like, now you've been following the same blueprint for 25 years. And it's like, now you're just out in the world and there's nothing, you can just do anything you want. It's scary. And you don't really know where to start.
I think that is an amazing observation, because that's true. School, everybody tells us what to do through college. And even I think that's why, like, the freshman 15, why people gain all this weight when they first start. You have a scheduled dinner time, whether you're all through high school, elementary school, to junior high school, to high school. You have a structured eating plan. Your parents tell you what to do, and you get out here on your own. Are you like, I can eat ice cream and McDonald's every day? Like, yeah, you can with your big circle head, but it's not the best idea for you. So what is your suggestion for people that may not have that discipline, that are just getting into entrepreneurship? What are some things that they can put into place just personally to get them prepared for the entrepreneur mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I would have accountability partners. That's good. Like, people that can hold you accountable. Like, if you can't hold yourself accountable, you can have somebody else that'll hold you accountable. And that's good. And that, like I said, that's why organizations are good, because they force you to kind of be accountable, right? It's like, if you go to church every Sunday and you're part of the choir, you can't afford not to know your line, because the head of the choir is going to hold you accountable. So it's the same thing with business. It's like, if I know that my business partner or my mentor or whoever, they're going to make sure that I have this done. They're going to ask me questions about it. It's one thing to disappoint yourself, but people don't really like to disappoint others. That's something I learned as well. Like, you'll disappoint yourself before you disappoint somebody else. Like, when you know that somebody else is gonna, rely on you for something, 9 times out of 10, you'll actually make more of an effort, because you don't want to, like, look crazy and act like, and then also you don't want to disappoint that person and make them feel like you just aren't serious about what you're doing. So accountability partners are big, very, very big. And, having, like me, I have a to-do list every day. That's like mandatory. I always have a to-do list. Like, you got to have a to-do list, and have a calendar. Like, stuff is in the calendar. And then things like that, where it's like, you have some level of structure. Even if your day isn't completely structured, you have some level of structure. So if it's like 15 things on my to-do list, I don't necessarily have to do it at a certain time, but I know by the end of the day, I have to get it done by the end of the day. So that helps out a lot.
I am huge on checklists. You need to have, and that's for everybody, you need to have a checklist. Every single day, you need to have a written out checklist. Some people like the one online, you can use it in your notes in your phone, but when you write it down and you're able to physically check that off, it just does something different to you. And I think another thing that you said that was really important is mentorship. So of course, when you're in playing basketball, you have a coach that's basically your leader. But over the years, have you had different mentors? How important is have mentors played in your growth?
Yeah, I mean, mentors come in a lot of different forms too. A lot of times people look at mentors like there's like one old guy that's like the grand wizard. That's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I look at mentorship like anybody, like, you know, like Alex, shout out to him if he's still in the chat. Like he's in trucking. So if we trying to get a truck, I'm gonna rely on his expertise. He's gonna become a mentor to me in a certain. I might not talk to him every single day, but I know if I have a question, I can ask him, and he's gonna become a mentor to me in that regard. So that's another good thing with the podcast. It's a great networking tool. So a lot of the guests that we've had on the podcast, they become personal friends of ours, and you know, like Ian Dunlap, who does our stock show, or Wall Street Trapper, or whoever. You know, we can actually call these people and ask them questions about stock. So they're mentors in a sense, because now they might have a higher level of understanding on certain areas. So instead of us trying to learn everything ourselves, we can, you know, ask the experts in the field and kind of take the cheat code. So mentorship is huge. Mentorship is huge. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be just one person. It could be just anybody that has some level of expertise that can lend a hand. And I look at mentorship also. It's like you got to be able to provide something to that person as well. That's huge too. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times people want to just be like a one-sided relationship. Like you can't have one. You got to be able to add some level of value. So for us, the value add that we have is that we put people on the podcast and they gain a bunch of exposure. So now we ask them questions. It's like we've already paid it full, but now so anybody can add some level of value, whether it's you're working for free, whether it's you're matching somebody up with somebody else that like might be a good person for them to connect with, but that person and they don't know that person. It's like you just got to be creative to try to find ways where you can add value to somebody. Don't just like hit them up like, can you be my mentor, or I want to just pick your brain. Like that's the worst. I hate when people say that, like, can I pick your brain? Like what does that mean? Like you got to add some level of value so it's not a lopsided relationship. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can be a variety of different things that you can bring to the table to help that person, because you want help. That's what it really comes down to. You want help. So why would you not want to help that person so that it's an equally yoked situation?
Please, please, for the love of all that's holy, stop asking people, can I pick your brain? If there's nothing else that you get, please don't ask anybody, no grown person that's invested years. Just imagine, he just sat and told you guys it took 4 years to get to the space that they're in right now. Now you can't just pull up and be like, yeah, just give me all the information for free. Do
And
not ask us.
I think sometimes we gotta look at different. Like I feel like our podcast is mentorship. I feel like the podcast is a form of mentorship, because it's like every week there's somebody who's an expert in a different area giving free information for an hour. So really, if you look at it from that standpoint, like that's mentorship. That's actually mentorship. So we gotta look at how we define mentorship as well. Like but yeah, you definitely can't be selfish in this situation, and you just gotta respect people's time. And it's like not even sometimes people have good intentions, but they just don't have enough time. Like they don't have enough time just to sit down with you for 3 hours and talk to you. So it's like, if you can have a situation where it makes sense for you to have a mutual conversation, then you'll learn something in that conversation, as opposed to them just getting on the phone and just talking for an hour with nothing coming back.
Absolutely. And again, because when you're moving, like I have a large client list, so I don't have 3 hours, just to sit and I have a daughter too. So if you have a kid, like we don't have that time. And a lot of times that personal time, it's really our personal time. So just make sure that, if they have a program, one of the things that Madia posted was a bunch of quotes from other folks about, have you ever paid for their time? Have you ever booked a coaching session? Have you ever done a strategy session with them before you just ask the question of, can I pick your brain? So I am going to get a couple of questions on here. Let's see. Okay, I think we got that one. Don't mix family and friends, and how do you navigate that? Another thing I wanted to ask you about is, when it comes to your friends, how important is it to still document that information?
Document like
Have a contract between, and what does that look like on your side?
yeah, it's important. It's important. I ain't gonna front. We don't really. I mean, it's important. It's definitely important, but we really don't be doing that. We really do like more handshake agreements, but we probably should start doing that. Honestly, nobody's perfect, so that's something that we probably should get a better handle on. But I mean, us, yeah. I mean, because our thing is like we really like family. Like we really family. Like our kids know each other. Like our kids are friends with each other. Like we know each other for like 25 years every single day. So like we fight all the time. We argue and all of that. But yeah. So, but legal documents is a good idea. It is a good idea. No matter what, it's a good idea. But for us, we just we go off our word and our handshake.
Got it. All right. Let's see. Outside of monetary equity, what are some of your favorite ways to be compensated for your time?
Outside of monetary, what's some of the best ways to be compensated? Introductions is big. Like if you can introduce somebody that is somebody that I want to get introduced to, that's always looking to do some that's very big. And then information is big as well. So it's like I said, like Wall Street Trapper, like or Ian, them talking to me and explaining things to me, it might make me $10,000. So I can't put a price tag on just having a conversation of just somebody giving me information. So I always like to gain information. That's one of the reasons why I really love the podcast, because I gain so much information. So information and introductions, two biggest things.
All right. So with the introductions, because we have these conversations, we have vast amount of dope people that we have access to. How do people get access? Because I think just as a whole, as Black folks, having access to dope stuff is something that's new, right? So and not just to celebrities, but also to information. How did you get access to all of these dope people? Because for me, folks are like, oh my God, you have so-and-so on your show. I'm like, yeah, that. But again, I realized that I have access through some of my previous clients that may know somebody and they've made the introduction. How did you get access to the people that you have access to now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a variety of different ways. Some people we reach out to personally, like we just hit them up. Some people are, introduced to us through other people. Some people introduce themselves to us. Like some people come up to us, like Wall Street Trapper. He actually flew from New Orleans to Houston to introduce himself to me personally. That's how I met him. So a combination of the three. Yeah, combination of the three. But there's really no set science to actually meeting good people, I don't think. But introductions are always beneficial, and just constantly networking, like because somebody always knows somebody. Like I always say, like if you're trying to meet one person, there's at least one person that you are loosely cool with that can make an introduction. Whether they make that introduction or not is a different story. But like even beyond, like I feel like right now, I feel like there's nobody that I can't be introduced to. Like I said, now whether somebody wants to do it or not, like if I want to meet Beyonce, I feel like there's somebody that I know. It might not be my best friend, but it's somebody that I know that can make an introduction to somebody else that can make that introduction. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but it's 6 degrees of separation is very real. Now I think it's like even like 2 degrees of separation, 3 degrees of separation. So yeah.
I'm going for one, like literally for one. My little sister texted me yesterday and was like, hey, come out your back door. And I literally walk outside and she's doing a photo shoot at my neighbor's house. Like it's 0 degrees for me, because you're one person away from knowing somebody that could change your life.
I just spoke about Wall Street Trapper. He's in here right now. So shout out to him. Yeah. So see, just yeah, that's you never know. And the internet's a great, it's a great networking tool, online, social media. I tell people, God, you gotta use social media for positive things because you know, obviously there's a lot of negative stuff that can happen on social media, but it's a really powerful networking tool, and can really change your life if you use it correctly.
Tell me an L that you took that you wish somebody would have saved, that you wish you would have known, or that if you had a mentor in place for somebody that could have like kept you from that L, what would that L be?
I mean, you know, we took a lot of losses in business. Like these guys that I'm in business with now, my friends, like we this isn't the first business that we started. We started an app. We wanted to do an app for DJs, kind of like Serato. It was a good idea, but that didn't work out. We lost like $30,000 in developers in India. They ran off on our with our money. It's all kinds of nonsense. We
Do we need
lost.
to go to India? Do we need to pull up?
Yeah, probably do need to,
All right.
but that's just one thing. We lost a bunch of money. We lost a bunch of money doing a variety of different things. But honestly, I never really looked at it like a loss. I just looked at it like it's just a learning experience because I don't really value money like that. Like it doesn't really mean anything. Like money, it comes and goes. It's a tool. It's not really something. I think that people put so much emphasis on money, and that stops people from doing things too. Because it's like I'm gonna start a business, but if I lose, if this business doesn't work out, I'm gonna lose this money. But it's like who cares? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're only gonna live once anyway. So you're trying to hoard $20,000, and in the grand scheme, when you're 80 years old, you're not gonna care about $20,000. It doesn't mean anything. So that's how I look at it. I really don't care. So, you know, obviously, you don't want to just be stupid and reckless and just throw money at anything. But you know, we try a lot of different things. This is working now, but before this worked, we had like 5 things that failed. So I don't really wouldn't change anything because from every failure we learned things from it. So now it puts us in a better position now.
My D said, "Look at everybody ready to get on the plane and go to India." That's right, my D. We'll talk about this offline while everybody's not watching. Where we need to pull up to exactly. Okay, so let's talk about what you feel like is your biggest win.
Our biggest win, I mean, honestly, I feel like earning leads is our biggest win because it's you know it's just like I said, it's dope to be able to be in business with your friends that you grew up with, and now it's like you know we get to actually you know be business partners, and you know we get to travel and we get to meet people and we get to do stuff. So you know it's like Drake says, it's good to make it, but better when your people make it with you. So you know now it's like you know we going to LA for a whole month in July, and we bringing everybody, the whole staff and all of our families, kids, all of that going to be in just one big house in LA, and we just going to be out there for the whole entire month. So, you know, that's how I look at it. Like that. That's the win. You know, when you can be successful with people that you know personally, and you know, and really just you know create a business with people that you actually grew up with. That's the biggest win for me. Outside of money, you know, that's more valuable than money.
So when you look around, and I know most of these people are your friends, when you said, "Yo, we need to start adding to the team," how did you know who needed to be on your team?
Shout out to my man Miguel Dykeman. He's in here. I miss Dykeman, man. But to answer your question, how did we know who needs to be on the team? So it just kind of fell in place, honestly. So, like I said, for me, I know Troy. Troy is somebody I speak to every single day for my entire life. So I'm like, all right, you want to be my podcast partner? That makes perfect sense. Like, you know what I mean? And I know he's good. He's good as far as learning how to do things, and he's a very good person as far as like he's like a utility guy. Like anything that you need, like he can figure out how to do it. And then Mike, who I talk to every single day, also it just so happens that he's really good with computers. He's a photographer. He's an editor. He does all of these things already. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then Jamal, he has a marketing background, so we brought him in and was like, all right, can you help us out with marketing? Ben, I'm a terrible speller, so I like to write a lot, but I don't really know how to spell that good. I always make all kinds of grammatical mistakes and spelling mistakes. So Bam, who's Mike's brother, he's like really good at English. I don't know how he became so good at English, but so he's like my editor. So like before I write anything, I'll send it to him, and he edits it for me and sends it back to me. So Now it's just like everybody just kind of has something, and that's something to keep in mind too. It's like network across. Don't always try to network up. It's like you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find these people who's like, you know, the best editor and the best, and it's like you have people in your neighborhood or people that you know, they might not be the best at doing that, but you can grow together as opposed to trying to get Spike Lee to shoot your movie. Like, get your homeboy that, you know what I'm saying, he does good work. So that's what we really did. We just networked across. Everybody has some kind of talent that they can help out with, and then we all get better. As like nobody's perfect, we're getting better, but we're not just trying to just find, you know, Steven Spielberg. Like, why not just make our friend Steven Spielberg?
That's a LeBron. Didn't know what LeBron did with his boy that he put in place. What was that story? That sounds similar, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a fact. Maverick Carter, Rich Paul. Rich Paul is the top agent, one of the top agents in sports right now. And Rich Paul, he had an internship. So LeBron's first agent, Leon Rose, um, he made Leon give Rich Paul an internship, and he worked under Leon Rose. And then once he got seasoned enough, and he understood the business, he fired Leon Rose and hired Rich Paul. And now Rich Paul is his agent. Now Rich Paul is Anthony Davis's agent. Rich Paul is a bunch of, I think Draymond Green, like he got a bunch of clients in the league now. So yeah, exactly. LeBron, that's my favorite athlete, and I love him for that. I love that he did that. Like, you know, he could have just hired, you know, all of these different people from all of these top agencies to represent him, but nah, he got Maverick Carter, he got Rich Paul, he got people that these are his friends that he came up with.
I love that. So tell me your big picture, because I mean, we've gone from Earn Your Leisure being a podcast, an idea, to a podcast, to Earn Your Leisure University, to merch. You got assets over liabilities. Tell me what's your big picture for Earn Your Leisure.
Just going to keep growing, God willing. We're just going to keep growing. EYO University is something that we started that we're very, very excited about. So that's an educational platform. So a lot of times people have like questions for guests and they want like more extended dialogue. So EYO University is an actual platform where it's an interactive, like we do weekly Zoom classes, and somebody will teach about a different topic, and you get to actually ask these people questions. And then inside of EYO University, we have a book club, we have a movie club, private real estate group. So we're adding on to the EYO University, and that's something that we're really, really excited about the growth, and just keep growing that educational. And then on the media side, you know, we produce content now. So shout out to Ian, Master Investor. He has a show that we have with him called Market Mondays, which is every Monday at 8:00. It's a stock market show on YouTube, and that's really blowing up right now. So we're looking to produce content for other people as well, and keep growing that as far as the media side. So those are two things that I think we're most excited about right now, is the media opportunities and education. And then, of course, once Corona is over, we can start traveling again and start doing events. But yeah, you know, of course, we still got the merch. And just, yeah, we're just going to just keep growing everything that we got.
I love that. So if you could tell, and again, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, make sure that you're following Rashad. It is at Rashad Bilal. The name spelling is at the bottom. Make sure you're following Connie S. Falls. The S is for systems, because that's where this will be reposted. What's one thing you wish you could get a megaphone and just scream from the mountaintops for entrepreneurs to understand? Like, if you just had to give one good business bar and say, y'all don't get this, that's all I got. What is that one thing?
Yeah, I want to just encourage everybody to create some kind of revenue system online, because I feel like, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in our communities, it's just brick and mortar. And we saw what happened with Corona. There's too many variables. I think these days it's like you got to be able to get money online. Online is where it's at. I think, you know, there's no limit to the internet. You're not limited geographically. You're not limited by anything. So I really want to just encourage every single entrepreneur, no matter what you're doing, to try to have an online component to your business, or just have an online business, period. And outside of that, just keep going. Don't give up. Just keep going. It's just like, you know, a lot of times people get discouraged, and you know, like I said, there's ups and downs in business, but there's ups and downs in life. So just gotta keep going. Just keep going, keep pushing, and just stay consistent.
I love that. So tell the people how they can get in contact with you. What if you have anything that's coming up, anything you want people to know about how to get in contact with you.
No, I appreciate that. Well, first, thank you for having me. So yeah, Earn Your Leisure is the podcast name. So that's Earn Your Leisure across all outlets: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Earn Your Leisure. So check us out. Check us out on Apple. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. Market Mondays is our stock market show. That's today at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check that out. It's live. It's a live show, so you can ask questions. It's live. And yeah, that's it. Really, just keep following the brand, and thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Awesome, Rashad. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. For those of you guys that are watching again, make sure that you are following Rashad as well as Earn Your Leisure. Also, and thank you, amazing platform, Connie. I appreciate that. Make sure you're following me, Connie S. Falls. The S is for systems. If you need me, we're here. And God bless everybody. Thanks, Rashad.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye.